I will trust in the Lord. I will
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Do we really trust in the Lord? Of course, as Christians, we say we do, and it is my belief that for the most part we do. But how much do we trust in the Lord? And how much more could we truly trust in the Lord? After I graduated from seminary, I began the process of discerning my call into pastoral ministry. Where was it that God was going to send me? Was he going to send me back home to Detroit, Michigan to pastor in an urban inner city setting, the setting that I had all of my pastoral experience in? Was he going to send me south to North or South Carolina or Georgia or Florida, some of the places that I had expressed that I wanted to go? And we were saying, my wife and I both, that we trusted the Lord and we were going to trust that he would show us where he wanted us to go. Well, I remember one day getting a letter from a small church in Kansas, Greensburg, Kansas, as a matter of fact, that said that they had seen my profile on the American Baptist profile system and felt that the skills that I had and the gifts that I had matched what they were looking for in their next pastor. Well, first of all, I'm wondering where in the world is Greensburg, Kansas? It was very hard initially to find on a map, but then I did my research and looked into where Greensburg was. And I said, okay, we'll move forward in this process. Well, the very next step was that they sent out a church profile. And in this church profile, it had demographic data. Now, this demographic data was very interesting. Greensburg was a rural community. Greensburg was a community that was 98% Anglo. As a matter of fact, when you looked at the demographic data, it didn't even have a line for black. It had Hispanic, and then it had Native American, and then it had other. And that other was less than 1%. And so as I'm looking at this church, I'm realizing that this church is not going to be a fit for the gifts that God has given to me. All of my experience in ministry is in urban inner city ministry. All of my experience in ministry is with African American congregations. I am from a large urban area. This is just a pastorate that will not fit for me. And so I didn't send any of the information back. Well, after about 2 weeks, my wife comes and she asks me, she says, honey, did you send that information back to that church in Kansas? And I said, no, I didn't. And she said, well, why didn't you? I said, well, it's not going to be a fit. It's a community that I am not used to pastoring in. It is a predominantly Anglo community, and right now they haven't seen a picture of me. They don't know that I'm black, so it's probably not going to work out. And my wife said some very wise and sage words to me. She said, just get out of God's way. Trust God. And if it's meant to be, it'll be. And if it's not, it's not. So listening to the wisdom of my wife, I sent the information back to that small church in Greensburg, Kansas. And lo and behold, in August, they called me down for a candidate weekend and called me as their next pastor. For 3 years, I would have the privilege of pastoring in that church. I would learn from them. They would learn from me. I would grow because of that pastoral experience. I would be blessed to move to Kansas, where we would adopt our 3 boys and where we now have residents in this wonderful state in the middle of the country. None of that happens if I don't listen to the words of my wife to trust in the Lord. Because what does the text tell us? It tells us to trust in the Lord and not to lean to our own understanding. My own understanding is white congregation, black pastor, not going to work. Rural congregation, urban pastor, not going to work. But it worked. It worked because it was in the will of God. The text tells us, in all your ways submit to him and he will make your path straight. The path that I was going to go on was not the straight path, but by submitting to God, I followed the straight path, and I tell you, it has been wonderful. That 3 years in Greensburg, Kansas was a wonderful 3 years. That was a beautiful congregation to have the privilege of serving. Kansas has given me my 3 children. Kansas has given us 2 additional cats. Kansas has helped me to grow as a pastor. Kansas has helped me to grow within leadership positions within the church and within the denomination. None of that happens if I don't trust in the Lord. And so, my friends, I submit to you, are you trusting? Especially in these difficult times, are you trusting in the Lord? Because he will not lead us astray. He will not lead us along the wrong path. So I submit to you, my friends, now in these difficult times and in all times, trust in the Lord. Lean not to your own understanding. In all of your things, submit to him and trust that he will, because I'm telling you, he will make your path straight. God bless you.